Hi, everyone. It's Charlotte Baker Jackson, the Candid Recruiter. Welcome to another episode of my show. I am so excited about my guest today. I am so blessed to have as a guest GAYNELLE White, owner and designer of Philthy Ragz Boutique, the Philthy Ragz Boutique, with the flagship store here in Inglewood, California, and then the huge online brand as well. Welcome, GAYNELLE.
Thank you very much. I'm just excited to speak on this platform with you as well.
Thank you. So this is my first show for my series, Pivot to Next. I don't know if you knew that. You're my first guest for Pivot to Next.
All the pressure.
Yeah. So Pivot to Next is the series that I'm starting where I meet with amazing people who started off in regular corporate life, but then transitioned to life as an entrepreneur and have been very successful in doing so. And so obviously you've been very successful with Philthy Ragz. And so I'm so excited for you to share all of your invaluable knowledge and gems with the audience. So let's jump right in. So, yeah. So I have known your story. You know, I've known you for 15 years now, 16 years. And so I know the trajectory that you've taken and the ups and the downs. But I'd love for you to share with us first a little bit about your career path, how you started out. Like, I know that you started on the corporate side, so if you could share a little bit about that, and then how you transitioned to building your brand, Philthy Ragz.
Okay, well, by trade, I would say I was a preschool kindergarten teacher. I literally have always been just intrigued by teaching, learning through a sense of creativity. And so I ended up on a path. I was a TA in like high school and stuff like that. And I've always loved children and the way their minds think and how they process, etc. So for a good 14 years of my adult life, I worked with children and families. And at the end, or towards the end, and I say the end because it's like I almost feel like I've lived two different lives, like,
Right.
You know what I mean? It's two different career paths.
Your day path and then your passion path.
Right, absolutely, very, very good. So literally, I was working with First 5 LA, which is a program that is run by the state of California. And what they do is we work with, we used to work with at-risk families. We would go in the home and try to give them creative tools on working with their families and through learning, playing, all that good stuff. So I was responsible for developing the curriculum as well as running the entire program. And towards the end of the program, I was on a 7-year contract. And towards the end of the program, I can't really say, I can't really say there was a moment that I had, but I can give you a story that kind of parallels, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
So literally, I'm in a situation where I'm training teachers to teach creatively, you know, through painting, through art, through expression, et cetera, et cetera. And on the flip side of that, I've always been that girl when it comes to fashion and dressing and even being creative in the home, around the home, period. And so one of my neighbors literally, mind you, I've never met her a day in my life. I've seen her, hi, bye. But one of my neighbors literally came across the street. She had a handbag collection of crocheted materials. I made out of crochet materials. Oh, nice. And so, literally she said to me, she brought this, I wish I had something. She brought this shirt to me and she said, hey, Gay. Well, she didn't say, hey, Gay, she knew my name. She was like, you dress so cute. Oh my God, what can you do with this shirt? My bags are going to be in a fashion show. And what is it? And I'm literally looking at her like, why are you asking me this? Because how are you making this connection? Now, the third part of the story, which is the spiritual part, I had already been asking God, like, how do I make a transition to now live in my passion? Because I love the creative side, but I don't like this side anymore. Parents are changing, how they parents are, how people parent is changing. And I'm just not with the flow of, you know, what's going on in the new society.
Right.
You know, so I had already asked that prayer. In the meantime, also having my own issues in the home with now becoming a new single mother. So my prayer was, okay, Lord, I need a little extra money, and I don't want to get out Macy's. I don't want to be outside in my home. And my prayer literally was, God, make room for my life with the gift you gave me. So now you got this prayer that's already, you know.
I love that. Make room for my life with the gift you gave me.
Yes, yes. And so with that being said, literally, so now this girl comes, let's say it's 2-3 weeks later, I make her shirt. Literally, this is how my transition went. I made her shirt, but I did not make the shirt until the night before the fashion show, because number one, I was afraid. Like, well, what if this is not
that fear?
I have no idea. What am I doing? I don't know how to make anything. Like, you know what I mean? What am I doing? So literally, my now husband, who was my boyfriend then, he was like, just do something. You're about your words. You know, you got to be about your word. Just do whatever. So happened to be I bought some materials that I had from my training classes, some dye, some string, the shirt she gave me, some felt and some glue, some lace. I don't even know where I got the lace from. But anywho, long story short, I took the t-shirt, I took the felt, and I cut the word free out. I hand dyed the t-shirt.
I remember that shirt.
Yes, I hand dyed the shirt, cut out the back, made these strings in all these different places. Moving fast forward, she wore the shirt in the fashion show. And literally the only person who asked me about the shirts was the creative director for the Bernie Mac show. Literally, that was the moment my life was changed. She asked, did you make this? And I'm not going to lie, fear was there. Like, do I say I made it? Do I?
Heck yeah, you made it.
Right. You know. So basically, at that moment, she told me to bring some to her office. She would love to have them worn on the show.
Wow.
And that was a life-changing moment. And when I went there, what really solidified the deal was when I got there, I'll get teary-eyed all again. When I got there was, I want to say, an angel, a lady sitting there, and she said, "Are you the one with the shirts? Are you the one?"
Just solidifying.
Yes. And
this purpose in your life.
All day, you know.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you right now, don't you underprice yourself, whatever. And so after the meeting, they bought 6 shirts. I had to make them double, and I literally made $1,200 from one conversation. And I knew at that moment, like this is the answer to my prayer.
Yes.
This is it. And that is one of the reasons why I am so big on following my intuition. You know what I mean? That inner voice that you hear, you know? So
absolutely. So then how did you know when it was time to pivot to your next? How did you know, you had gotten that spark from the Mac show that was like, okay, this is something that is real. This is tangible. This is something that you're gifted in, that you can do. But when did you know, okay, it's time for me to really start taking this seriously so that I can then shift from your corporate life to more entrepreneur lifestyle?
When I started making money. And that's what happened.
That's all it took. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean to sound, whatever that make me sound like, but literally from that show, I started to get so many requests for the shirts that now I'm in different boutiques. And so for me, I literally, I just don't operate when it comes to certain things. Now I'm not, a picture of perfection, but when it comes to certain things, especially in reference to my business, I don't operate in what can't. I do not think about, if this don't happen. I don't have a plan B, because that means I will not give the time that is necessary to plan A.
Right.
And plan A doesn't go through, I'm gonna always quickly resort. So when I started making money doing it, and I started getting other boutiques, and by the time maybe 3-4 months later, I'm in like 4 or 5 boutiques. Like I'm delivering, picking up checks every week. And for
Wow.
me, it's like, that was a confirmation that this gift can make room for my life. Now, did I think that it would expand to the space in which it did? No, I never ever had that. I thought it was just going to be a side thing. Until there was
So when did you know?
At this pivot, this is where it kind of turned for me. At this time, we're in like 7 boutiques. So now my checks are adding up to the check I make at work. So I'm like, if I can balance this and I'm doing something I love to do, I would be up until 4:30, 5 o'clock. I would make dinner for my kids, go back to sewing, cutting, and they would be waking up the next day, and I'm still
still be sewing, cutting.
Still, you know what I mean? So for me, passion and purpose, and being able to make a substantial amount of money that made room for my life. Now, I didn't have an overflow, but it did, the dollars, it made sense.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And as you continue to create, you continue to grow, which then continue to become profitable.
And then I also want to definitely share, because I think that transparency is very important, especially on this platform. Also, when it's time to move and you're thinking about how do I pivot, there's always going to be something in your life that happens that you're like, oh, hell no. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not going to stay, I can't participate in this. I don't need to participate in this thing anymore. And for me, that literally it was actually a boss who was, he was racist, and basically he made me so uncomfortable. But now I can look back and say it really was the universe shifting everything.
Right.
So I would not be complacent anymore. And what was going on, that made me just fight even harder. So again, I looked at all of the things and how they lined up. And that's kind of where I made my move from. Made it smart, calculated moves from all of those, pieces kind of landing together.
Absolutely. So then I remember when all this was happening and you opened up shop in your back house. I can't remember if it was a garage or just a back house, but I remember that became, correct me if I'm wrong, but like your first flagship kind of standing boutique.
Yes.
So how did that come about? And then how did you grow and leverage from that to the next storefront that you had, your first storefront business?
So in the back, it became a little cumbersome to have, let's go back a little bit. So yes, for Mother's Day, the same year, I asked
it was Mother's Day, yes.
What do they want for
marketing?
For my, what do I want for Mother's Day? And I'm like, I want to try to work in the back. So the first concept wasn't about necessarily, was I going to make a store? I needed a space to work, because at this point now, the whole kitchen is completely taken over by my materials, So with that being said, when I was in the back painting, I was like, dang, what if I try to sell things out of here? Like, if I have a sewing machine and actually that's what I was doing at first. I had a sewing machine and, trying to work out of there. And I just think it just became a lot. It became cumbersome running around. And I said, well, you know what, instead of, if they're taking XYZ amount from each of my sales, because, I have to split the sales with where
the store owners, where your shirts were placed.
And so if I have to split, what if I could just do it on my own? Now people know, like, they know where they can come. They know where the brand,
right, yeah,
where they can come. And so just again, putting all those stories together, I decided I'm gonna go for it. And literally, we just, got in there and painted and turned it into a boutique. I didn't have no money. Let that be very clear.
Yeah, but you said something key. became having you were strategic, even though it may have been subconscious at some point, right? Strategic in terms of building your own personal brand. So while you were in those stores, people were asking questions. Well, whose is this? What is this? Where is this coming from? Oh, this is GAYNELLE White. Oh, Philthy Ragz, right? And so it made that transition probably a lot easier, unbeknownst to you, probably even at the time, because people follow the brand, you know? So once you started to open up your own shop, it was probably an easier transition than you thought it would be to get people to come directly to you.
Absolutely, it was. And then it became appointments. And then now mind you, when I opened that, I still had a full-time
job.
Right? So I was literally running back and forth. You know what I mean? And as much as I was working in my own, working in my passion, literally, okay, now I'm already on to the next. Like, you know what I mean? I had to figure out how can I make this sustainable? How can I make it full time? How can I actually step out on faith? Because I knew I could do it, but how do I do it? And then that's where the next step came in. Someone who was following the brand came and told me, well, asked me, basically like got a from God. And she's like, you need to come rent out this room at my—
I love those from God. We don't follow them enough. We don't follow those So
we are listening to everybody else, what they
courage
think.
to follow it, yes.
And it takes courage to follow that. It
Yes.
does. I remember saying, like, oh my God, why is this lady coming to me out the blue asking? I don't even know her. But what she believed so much in the brand, and she thought it would be such a great mix for us to be together, or for me to have a space in her store. And that is where it grew from. I just followed it because I always went back to that prayer. God, make room for my life with this gift you gave me. So if I feel something tugging on my spirit, and I can really truly say that is God touching my spirit, I'm going to follow it. That's literally how I am. I mean,
then you decided to put your resignation in and go full throttle.
It was that old manager. I literally have even gotten to see him and tell him thank you. Like literally, like it was him. You know what I mean? A lot of times in business, we look at all these things that are going wrong and, et cetera, but everything is a lesson. Everything is a teacher, everything. And that for me was the biggest lesson on, again, things are going to happen to make you feel uncomfortable so that you can propel to the next space, right?
Yes.
So after the pivot from G Baby was, I just wanted my own stuff. You know what I mean? I did. I just wanted. It
was time.
Space. It was time. And, the idea of the work being so difficult, from having to go in her store, open up, and
all the extra layers.
Complicating. Like the African marketplace, we're still doing working from 4:30 in the morning. It was just so much. So,
and being in someone else's store, you have to do things their way too.
Yeah.
And it was time to pivot to do your way. So looking back, here we are, it's been 15, 16 years now?
That started 2005. Yes. So literally.
15 years. Yeah. So looking back, right, I know that everything happens for a reason. Are there some mistakes you made along the way? And looking back, or advice that you could give on those mistakes and what you would do differently, how you would plan your pivot a little different to ensure that you be successful the next time around?
Absolutely. Literally, I would say 3 things. Number 1, the very first thing is have some type of plan to follow. Although my story worked out, had I have had a little bit more
a written plan, a more structured plan.
So I went back afterwards because at the end of the day, like there was a part of me that, so let me change my number one, actually. There was a part of me that didn't believe in my own brand. I believed in the money that it came for me, but but I didn't believe that people were just so into this filthy rags kind of thing. I mean, it became just a thing. Like, I'm going to Philthy. If I'm going somewhere, I'm going to Philthy. And so for me, I literally continued to look at it as a hustle and not necessarily as a business. So when I say that,
that's a key distinction.
Yeah, have a plan for business. You know what I mean?
Not just a hustle.
Not just a hustle, because literally, when you have something that's good and you want it to propel to another level, you do have to have some level of some type of strategic way on how I'm going to build that. How do I build? You know, so that's my biggest mistake. There was no plan. So without a plan, you kind of scatterbrain and you do everything.
Absolutely. Yes.
So first, believe in yourself and believe in your brand. Believe in what you are called to do, and be very purposeful and intentional about your calling.
Intentional about your calling. That's the first one.
And then second, literally your finances. You have some of my
stuff is hard.
I'm gonna be very, very transparent because I don't mind, because I think that it'll bless someone. Yes. I can remember us having in the 5 figures savings in cash around our home, right? And that money should have been used for other things, to
reinvestment
in our business in different areas. But because we were still hustling and not businessing,
you just saw the money, and
you know what I mean? The money was just, you know, it was just coming in and it was good. And you frolic off a lot. And then with that, then you lose a lot. You know what I mean? So finances, have a savings plan, have your credit in order. There were so many years that David and I literally used to brag about, oh, we doing this as a cash business. And then having to speak to a financial planner to say, that's good, sounds good, but if you're not doing anything with your money in terms of investing and saving and creating a plan, you just, you know what I mean? And so with that being said, your credit and your finances, you have to be on top of that. I'm very, very, very adamant on that. That was a very, very hard lesson learned, because in 2016, when the Instagram boutique started to pop up, then I lost my leverage. It was only 3 other boutiques that were doing what I was doing. And so I lost my leverage because I wasn't prepared in the head and I wasn't prepared in the pocket. You know what I mean? So,
prepared in the head, prepared in the pocket.
Yeah, and the foresight. My third biggest key goes back in tune with planning is, don't do business for right now. Research, investigate, look at trends, look at what's going out.
How things evolve, how the world evolves, and you have to move with those changes.
Another huge downfall, we weren't prepared for the internet takeover.
And that was what I was going to move to next. So that forced you to have to learn and probably not be as prepared in terms of how to move into the e-commerce space.
It was definitely forced. It was definitely a forced activity. But again, like I said in the beginning, I play to win. Right. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like I just had to, and then I lost so much. That's just the truth. I lost a lot. You know what I mean? But in that spirit of playing to win, you will begin to look at where you're losing, do the investigating, and just try the different things that you see that are going, that are the world is doing. And now I'm not saying do what your competitor is doing. I'm not saying that at all, because literally you cannot operate a business. I've seen businesses close who have literally taken everything I do,
everything done, right?
goals, because I can't operate in your gift. You can't operate in my gift. We're not
And
going
it
to.
goes back to the brand.
Yeah, right. So literally I started to research, I started to read, I started to look at some things that are happening to me personal that I'm allowing to affect my business. You know what I mean? You can't separate the fact that, your personal will flow over into your professional. And how do I navigate
To balance
to stay
and
in the winning?
separate.
How do I separate those two things? So I took a big fallback, literally, and I lost a lot. It was just down to Dave and I, literally. I remember the very first question for us both was, what makes us tick? And I remember getting angry, literally, because Dave told me the truth. He was like, it's our brand. You're buying all this retail stuff, and it's our brand. It's nobody's coming here to buy what you can buy down the street. It's what you make. What God gave you. And you're not doing that. So
because you always had your individual pieces, but you were also getting pieces from other places and selling through your store. Okay.
Yeah.
So you decided to make that shift from selling other people's stuff to really creating.
Yeah. So I took instead of investing XYZ in retail, I took that money and now I put it into fabric, purchasing, just different, whatever tools I needed so that I can get back to the brand. I can get back to what I'm doing. So then I started sewing again. I started whatever I could to make money for the business and back into my, going back into what I did with my hands. That's what I started to do. Then I had to start taking pictures, because now you go from this high horse to we really don't have a lot. And then I can't afford to pay a model now. I can't afford to do these things. And these are things that happen without creating a plan. So, and I in the dressing room taking selfies and, with the things. And then you start to see this uptick. That's it. He's right.
So what do you think it was? Because from my vantage point, I remember that shift as well, as you were moving to more online sales and utilizing social media more, right? And I think that, yes, people love your product, but a great part of it too is just your passion for your product and your sell of the brand, and recognizing that people respect and looked up to you and your gifts and talents, and then supported you, but then the quality of the brand is just unmatched.
Thank you. Let's see, you touched on something very, very important, which is going back to the brand. When you lose sight of your brand, you will lose, period. And that is what happened. So we had to get 2020 vision, you know what I mean? And kind of refocus on being part of the brand. Now, I will tell you the God's honest truth. It is very important also to listen to your customer. It's extremely important to listen to their voice, because at the end of the day, that is who supports your business, your client. You work for them, right? Of course, add in your own, of course, it's your idea, but you have to listen. And literally what caused the shift to even another level is a customer I had from the very first week I opened. I won't say her name, but I mean, just completely loyal to the brand. One time she came in to shop, and I think Dave might have been joking with her, like, we ain't seen you in a month of Sundays.
Right.
And it ended up just being conversation in the back. And she told me, she came to she was in a dressing room, and she said, hey, Gay, can I talk to you? Again, listening to that intuition, listening to the things that are important to change your trajectory. And because I trusted her as a client, she said, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't shop here no more because there ain't no Philthy in here. I could go get this.
Right. Yeah.
I could go get this anywhere. And I remember shedding a tear right in front of her, literally, and telling her that I lost sight. I did. I lost sight of why I am here, my purpose. What, you know, one of my purposes in life. I lost sight of it because the money, the personal, all those things um, I allowed, nobody else, I allowed them to hover over. And then,
yes.
so with that being said,
and it kind of, it halted, stalled your creativity.
Absolutely.
Result.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100 million%. Absolutely. You cannot create in a vacuum. You just can't.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, again, learn to separate all of those things, but you have to do it yourself. You have to separate all of the things that affect you as a businesswoman. You have to create your own bubble so that you continue to win. And that's what I did. I learned to create boundaries, even with, you know, different aspects in my life. Okay, I can't do this. I can do this. I can't do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. I just kind of had to refocus. And that refocus from that conversation with Dave, that conversation with my customer, literally allowed.
That's all it took. The light bulb went off.
It just was like bing, 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 bing.
They want Philthy.
And that was it. And as I started to do that, I literally could see the uptick in business again. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I literally could see the customers coming back. I see, you know what I mean? I saw it, and that made me go harder. You know, it made me fight. You know, it made me fight. And then, you know, we were hit with another blow, having to move. You know, so which was great actually.
Yes, because it was a larger space.
Well, before that, remember, we had to move. The new owners purchased the building, and we moved. But again, I had to re-strategize. Okay, I only had a month because you can't be closed for a long time. This is my, you know,
that's right. Yes.
So I only had a month. So I ended up renting a very small space and literally decided, okay, well, this space is small. I can't fill it up with retail. I don't have a choice but to go hard with my brand. And I separated all the sewers, and I literally said, I don't care what, my business is going to be 80% Philthy and 20% retail. And so I literally took a leap of faith. I hired, well, again, God sent me an angel, which is one of my head pattern makers, and coupled with him creating anything I can envision in a different and definitely more, the quality was different. Work with him and all that good stuff. Like literally in that space, we were there for a year. Our business quadrupled.
Well, two things I noticed. You know, you were doing it by yourself initially.
Yes.
You got to a point where you realize, I can't do everything. I'm not an expert in it all. I need to expand. And in order to really leverage and build and grow your business to where you want it to be, you knew that you needed to get additional people with expertise involved.
Absolutely, because you can't do everything in business. I don't know everything. And again, I don't want to say I came into this business by default, but it is my truth. You know what I mean? I didn't have a plan to, when I'm 37, I'm going to start my whole life over again.
Right.
You know? It wasn't the plan. So literally exactly what you just said, you know, I literally, by default came into this business, but with that being said, I still draw back into the idea of making sure that you're listening, you're watching your business, and that you are extremely cautious in how you proceed from your failures. This is very, 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 it's very, very, very important that you understand
rebound from them.
All those things, because some people don't rebound. Some people don't. And there are some truths that I had to hear for myself, and there are some truths that I had to learn for myself. And again, so What are your weaknesses, Gay? You can't sew good. That's not your thing. You're not a good sewer. So I had to take that leap of faith with Mateo, drawing that back in with creating that team. I'm not a salesperson. I had to tell my husband, I'm not a salesperson. I can style you, I can make the clothes, but I'm not here to sell. So then he took more of a lead in that area.
In that area, right.
So again, it's realizing you cannot do it all. And so when I started to focus on just the brand, the things behind the brand, and then to, I'm losing thought of the word I'm looking for. Delegate
the task. Yes.
Then I saw growth. Then I had to hire somebody else, another sewer within 6 months. Then I had another sewer within like 3 months after that. And again, because we drew back into the purpose of why we're here, business started to
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So now we're all faced with COVID-19, and there were so many, everyone's impacted, but I can only imagine as a business owner how things, just shifted immediately because people were social distancing, not able to come into your actual store, right? But it sounds like you already had a plan in place and we're moving towards more and more of having that digital presence. So how has that been? And how has social media now been really a gift in terms of leveraging your online business and platform?
Well, let me take you back just a little bit. So when even before COVID hit, we had just moved into a huge 5,000 square foot space.
Yes.
Now we're manufacturing, and now again, the business is growing at rapid speeds, so we already were in a kind of transitional space because now we're cross-generational marketing. So I have myself, wearing the clothes and taking pictures. I have Kiara. So we're all
daughter. Yes, you brought your daughter in.
Yeah. How do we transition? So COVID hit at a time when we were trying to transition our business.
Pivot your next.
Yeah, exactly. Transition into online. COVID forced our hand into going extremely
a little faster.
Right. So now I had, so maybe about a month before COVID really started taking over, I hired a digital marketer. So again, COVID, yes, it definitely, forced us to have to create a lane for ourselves online. It was there, but we were just tap dancing on it.
Sure.
Now we got an umbrella. We're doing the whole Frank Sinatra dance on it. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like literally, again, paying attention to signs, et cetera, seeing that, okay, gosh, we're trying to split this product between whether it's 50 pieces or not, we're trying to split it through retail and online. How do we make this transition? So literally during COVID, I was forced to now, can't have so many sewers there. So now I have to outsource my sewing. You know what I mean? So again, it's listening to the signs, it's watching the signs, and listening to your customers. Do you have this? Do you have that? When are you going to have this? Online is online. So what I decided to do is really focus on the presence of online. I decided to literally strategically shut down the retail store, no curbside service, no come to the back door, pick it up, none of that. Like, you know what I mean? It was just, let me really, really focus on digital marketing. And so we worked hard with the digital marketing in terms of, what all that, consumes us, making sure we're engaging more with our clients on social media, digital marketing, personally responding to emails so that people connect with me and, don't think that, I've outgrown them as a client, because that's very important.
Absolutely.
As well. You know what I mean? And so with that being said, COVID not only forced our hand, it was actually very helpful in seeing the fallacies that we had and some of the things we needed to really transition to online and how to focus with it. And we have been doing absolutely amazing.
I love that, because the silver lining is always there. You just have to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's hard for so many people. And I think the immediate feelings that most entrepreneurs have during this type of crises is, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail. What do I do? Oh, and it's very easy to kind of fall into that bubble, right? To where you're not expanding, but you really saw the silver lining and saw this as an opportunity to really expound upon an area that you were tap dancing in, as you said, but you knew that there was a lot of business that could really come from there. And then as things continue to move forward, your online presence is really strong and will continue to flourish. But then you'll also be able to reopen your storefront business as well. So it'll be a win-win situation.
That's another pivot. So another, so you see, we see the growth of online, and I'm already on, we're planning to open sometime in late June, but literally I'm already on, okay, so I'm not going to let the online customers that we've been servicing.
Right.
So now my plan is, okay, so how do I make these two completely separate entities, how do I keep them both flourishing? Mm-hmm. So I'm already pivoting to that space. So what does that look like for me as a business owner? What does it look like? So now we're in the space of hiring so that we can keep that online presence as well as continue the continuity of service that we've offered to our clients here in the surrounding cities of Inglewood. So I'm on that pivot to next as well already.
Yes. Yes, but I love it because you have your community customers, but now you're also a global brand through online and digital marketing. And so that's amazing. Any last words that you can offer entrepreneurs? You've shared so much, but any final wrap-up thoughts that you can share and offer for someone who is looking to become an entrepreneur, and then for those entrepreneurs who may be shaken up a bit by everything that's happening with the pandemic?
So my biggest response would be, in business, you're always going to have to pivot to next. Mm-hmm. Always. You're always going to have to pivot to next. There is already something going to happen next week with your name on it in business. That's just the truth. Yes. You always have to be prepared. You always have to be prepared in the space of being able to handle all of the things that are going to come your way. If you go into business thinking that, oh, I got this plan, I don't even care if you had $10 million in the bank. It doesn't matter. You're always going to have to pivot something. It may be an employee. It may be a customer. It may be somebody just threw a rock in the window. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
Whatever it is, you're always going to have something. And when it comes, you cannot operate in fear. You cannot operate in the what if it does not. You have to operate in this. You have to operate in the victory of knowing whatever it is that happened, I'm going to create a solution for myself, period, because I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to lose. Now, where people lose is they get scared in that pivot. They get afraid, or they run and they run to other things. No, stay the course. Stay the course. It does not mean that you don't have to change some things. It does not mean that you don't have to alter some things in the way that you were doing it. It does not mean that. It means look at what's working and expound upon that, and that which is not working. Literally, some things you're going to have to let go, but be prepared to pivot even without COVID. There's something next week with your name already written on it. Be ready.
Absolutely. Be ready.
Yeah, be ready.
As I've heard it before, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, you know.
Amen. Amen. And there's some things, honestly, that you won't be ready for. There are some things, but use your resources. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to tell people, this is what I'm going through, because a lot of things you don't have the answer. A lot of things you don't know, but you always have somebody in your network who has the answer. So don't be afraid. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid. I don't want it to look this way. I don't want it to look the way. It doesn't matter how it looks. It matters what you do. It matters your response to whatever crisis that comes up. Your response is what matters, not what it looks like right now. And 9 times out of 10, when you ask someone else, it's a blessing to them as well. You know what I mean? They get a chance to utilize and, to give out resources that they may not have been able
I'm
to.
a testament to that with you.
Yes.
Trusting me to help you as you moved
Yes.
and added more people to your brand. So
Yes.
yes. Thank you for that. Can you share with the audience just how they can follow up with you, where we can find your amazing brand online, through social media? How can people access Philthy Ragz?
Well, Philthy Ragz is located in the heart
Inglewood, California.
Right on the corner of Manchester Market. Our
Yes.
retail is closed right now. However, we do have plans to open somewhere between the 2nd and 3rd week in June, if the law, health, science,
Permits that, yes.
So you can also see us on social media at Philthy Ragz, PHILTHYRAGZ. We have our Facebook and our Instagram pages. We are also working on developing Philthy Ragz, the home brand called Sanctuary by Philthy Ragz.
Love it.
As well. I'm just, I'm pivoting to next by being able to use every part of my gift. I want to die completely depleted of everything God gave me. So Philthy Ragz is expanding as well.
Well, you're doing it, and I'm so proud of you. I look forward to supporting you in many years to come and all of your brands, because I know that you'll expand greatly. And I just can't wait to watch you continue to grow. So thank you so much, Gaynelle White. You are amazing.
Thank you. I hope I answered all
the Ragz Boutique.
Thank you. I hope I answered all the questions properly. Sometimes I can run on. I just want everybody to,
Brilliant gems, invaluable gems that you shared with the audience. And I'm so grateful. Thank you.